Welcome to The Air We Breathe, the podcast where we break down the biases we've been breathing in our whole lives.
Without even realizing it. From childhood movies, pop culture, school, and everything in between. We explore how these invisible messages shape our beliefs, relationships, and society as a whole.
We're your hosts, Tracy and Lauren. Two cousins, sarcastic, funny, and here to call out the fog. Laugh at ourselves and dig into the biases that impact us all. Each episode will unpack personal stories, news, and pop culture moments to figure out what's really driving the way we think and act. So, take a deep breath and join us as we learn to clear the air.
One bias at a time. This is where we examine our implicit biases. And today, we're asking ourselves what drives our views of our own bodies. What ways did pop culture feed our fat phobia?
Was it the Sweet Valley High twins who told us size 6 was perfect? Did Monica Geller and Tyra Banks in a fat suit confirm what we already knew?
Was it Miss Congeniality who told us it wasn't enough to be in good shape or successful? You must also be hairless?
Let's find out. Okay. Something that has just been taking up my social media. Okay, Lauren, I texted you a screenshot of somebody showing their ass online.
Yes.
Can you describe for our listeners what you're seeing?
I see a gal in her maybe mid-20s rocking a bikini, Sydney Sweeney, and from what I can see, she's rocking it.
She's rocking it.
She's rocking it. I feel very confident for her.
What did the twat who tweeted say?
The twat said, "Dear women, stop getting fat."
Yeah, we're talking about Sydney Sweeney right now.
If she's fat, bro, I'm Jabba the Hutt.
There's so many layers of nonsense. Number one, sign it. Who is this letter from? Why are you the person who needs to announce to us?
Right.
Well, we'll stop putting babies in us then.
Facts.
Okay, so that's number one. Just the audacity.
Mm-hmm.
Then exactly what you're saying. Like, this is the standard.
When you think of fat, this picture comes up?
Because she's not exactly what she looked like the last time you liked the way she looked. She's not as good to look at for you today. How the fuck dare she?
The thing I gravitate to is it's a split picture, right? There's one where she's messing with her hair. And the second one, she's adjusting her top and she's sitting. When anybody, this is anybody, male, female, cat, dog, squirrel, whatever. When you bend at the midsection, there's going to be some wrinkles and some rolls. It's what happens. So I'm thinking when she bent over a little bit, they saw a crevasse.
Well,
and in our midsection, and that is what triggered the fat comment.
Oh, for sure.
It's completely ridiculous.
Right. It's a side-by-side picture.
Yes.
Of the same day at the same time.
Correct.
So what I think we should be taking from this is angles mean everything. Don't believe like everything you see on TV. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But or dating. I mean, that can go for dating.
Yeah,
too.
Like absolutely.
Dating sites. Oh my God.
Yeah, somebody would react differently to both of those pictures on a dating site.
Right.
But it's the same body. It's the same thing. But it's like, how dare you? If you do have these imperfections, I should not have to see them. I should not have to deal with them. Like women that...
What's up? Put your best foot forward. Why would you put a picture of you bent at the waist on a dating site rather than one that shows all your attributes?
But this guy's saying, stop getting fat. I think it goes past even the dating site. That movie Bridesmaids, where Mr. Wiggis like get out of bed and put on makeup and get back in bed.
Yeah.
This guy that does not give a fuck about her.
Oh,
I mean,
100%.
I would do that for John Hamm also.
Kudos to John Hamm.
And his sweatpants.
Ooh.
Those were not pictured in the film, but Google it if you love yourself. And so, like, that's the thing of it is you're not supposed to show your crust. Women don't poop.
They don't fart. They don't burp.
When I knew I was not only going to be happy with my now husband, but also his friends, is when I came out of the bathroom after the first time, I had no choice but to go number 2. And it was indefinite in proximity of the roommates. But it was, I mean...
Were they in earshot?
No, I'm sure I made sure I was probably running the shower.
Oh, good job.
Well, it didn't matter. I come out and his best friend, who's his best friend from growing up, is like, you finally did it. I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, I think you know what I mean.
Oh,
He's like,
no.
I'm glad you felt comfortable. I'm like, I am going to kill you. Because you have triggered every part of me. Number one, I don't want anybody to pay any attention to me, and you have paid very close attention to me. Number two, you have accused me of putting my own comfort over the amount of demure and mindfulness I am showing. You are making me acknowledge that I have a human body that has flaws such as disgusting things coming out of it.
I'm not ethereal. I'm not pure.
I don't even touch the floor when I walk, babe. You think I'm pooping? I was just in there talking to my inner self in the mirror, communing with the angels, and figuring out ways to please my man. But as I got older and got to know this group, I was like, you know what? I'm trying to make it okay for me to poop. I was just a new girl coming in. Yep, I appreciate that.
It was welcoming you into the pack of boys.
Thanks for letting me poop in your home. That was about me and not you, buddy. I'm so sorry I lashed out. But that's it. We're growing up on TV. They don't go to the bathroom unless it's for a joke. And if women try to step out of line and be gross, they hate them. I have never seen our grandfather angrier about an actor or actress until Roseanne Barr had the audacity to not only spit after singing the national anthem, but she also had a terrible voice and didn't try to have a nice one. For years, you could trigger him.
Oh, God. He was super mad.
Yeah. You know what he didn't say? She wasn't attractive.
Then also to not be able to sing, also be able to spit. That's gross.
Right. But I wonder how many layers we'd have had to remove for it to have been okay with him. Like if Lonnie Anderson or whoever his generation thought was cute, if Raquel Welch got up there and sang the national anthem poorly, then very demurely to show it was a baseball thing, and she was dressed in like uniform, I think we all would have been fine with it, Grandpa.
Oh, 1,000%.
But I understand it because I thought the same thing. If you're going to act shitty, you can't also be ugly.
Of course.
If you're going to be high maintenance, you can't also be ugly. There's that thing in How I Met Your Mother where they have like the crazy hot like algorithm. The crazier they're allowed to be goes up with how hot they are.
The crazy hot scale.
Right. You need to make it yourself worth whatever trouble you cause.
Yeah, if you're gorgeous, then you're allowed to be a little crazy. But if you're ugly, nah, you got to be on your P's and Q's, dude.
Right. Beauty is so subjective. I mean, this is sad, but you can only really get outside validation. You can think you look cute, but if you go out there and everybody tells you look a mess, how do you argue that?
I also fell victim to, I need to look a certain way so they like me. I need to curl my hair, or I think I got a compliment once that said, oh, you look really good with your hair down. Or don't cut your hair. My mom always had short hair. And my dad, I was going to cut my hair one time and he said, don't cut your hair. Women should have long hair. I had a strong relationship with my dad to the point where I'm like, let me see it from this standpoint. And then I would swing my gaze over to my mother and I'd be like, my mom's got short hair. Nobody could tell my mom anything. And she lived her best life having a pixie cut. She loved having short hair. But it always made me question, well, if you like women with long hair, but mom has short hair, will I get more validation from my dad if I have long hair more than my mother? So what hierarchy does that put me in my own household?
Yeah.
God, that was deep shit.
When you were talking about your mom having short hair, I'm like, yeah, but your mom was so gorgeous. And gorgeous women are allowed to do things like have short hair.
Oh my!
The amount of attractiveness you have to have before you're allowed to do something different, right?
Right. Where you don't care anymore about what shift in your look or what change in your...
Because you walked through a different world where you were validated instead of put down.
1,000%.
Right.
But and the same thing, she was never validated for her mind. She was always seen for her looks. And my mom was brilliant. And I feel like that might have made her a little bit bitter because she only got through to certain men or only got things because of what she looked like.
Well, that's the thing. No woman really is benefiting from these biases because it pits us against each other. And just like you said, like if you're in whatever circle you're in, if you're not the cute one, then you've got to scrap and work to like get any attention. You're feeling bad about yourself. But if you are the ideal, then you're idealized. Either way, you cease being a three-dimensional person.
You're a paper doll.
Right. And so that is the thing. But it also is like, oh, we're doing this all for the men. Well, then we're in competition. So we can't just come together and be like, hey, what if none of us worried about the male gaze.
What would happen?
What would happen?
I mean, there's some of us girlies out there that we enjoy kind of being in that path, right? And that
Like
that
getting
gaze. Right. And some of us like wearing the heels, because it makes our legs look nice or our ass, sit up. But where does that dopamine come from? Is it from myself, or is it from the validation I get when I go outside? Lauren, you look so nice. Oh, Lauren, look at those heels. Oh shit, girl, look at you. But that validation I have to be able to clarify for myself. Am I doing it for my girls, myself, or a man?
Right. I think that needs to be the order. I'm doing it for myself first and foremost. And that is the piece that a lot of us struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then secondly, yeah, like who are the people whose opinions about your fashion or your whatever do you trust? Like that they don't have ulterior motives. So if they're gassing you up, they're just gassing you up. Those are the people I want to hear from. Okay, so obviously the internet and other people's opinions have bearing on our body image. But what role did consumerism, capitalism, ads, what role did that play? Because women's body image and the struggle with it, right, is really a moneymaker, real cash cow. Feel like a cow, make some cash for the businesses.
What do you mean? Consumerism isn't healthy?
Capitalism doesn't love us like a parent? All right, so what hits for you? What was the I hate myself porn of your choosing?
Well, I think all of that rooted with a certain magazine when I was probably 14 or 15. It was Delia.
Well, not even a magazine. It's a
catalog.
Like you did read it like it was a magazine. It was just a big commercial.
Oh my God.
It was just one big commercial. And yeah.
Outfit after outfit. It was just the cutest shit.
Yeah.
Everything of that time.
So I vividly remember getting this like blue, itchy as fuck lace like shirt dress with like a slip dress that came underneath.
Yes.
And let me tell you something. You know, the only compliment about that outfit that really stuck because it didn't make me feel uncomfortable, I was a theater kid and I wore this to a cast party, was the super gay tech guy who told me I had really nice legs. And I'm like, you know what? He means that. He gets zero. I kind of annoy him, and he gets 0 out of compliments.
There's no value in his life from complimenting you. He really was giving you your flowers.
So shout out, Mr. Stage Manager. Thank you, because when I feel bad about my legs, I remember you complimenting them in high school. That was the other thing. Delia's wasn't cheap.
No, wasn't Temu, guys. We're not talking Shein.
No. It was like when ordering away for clothes was a real luxury.
Why can't I buy that car? God damn, Delia magazine. House. Those low-rise bell-bottom pants really put me under. No, I'm kidding. Almost like Columbia Records getting those CDs every month.
My brother-in-law, like it like ruined his credit.
Why can't I buy a car? Oh, it's that 10 CD set of Blind Melon and Smashing Pumpkins mixed in with the little Dre 2001. Oh my God.
Because he was on the streets of Ohio just tearing it up. We've lost anybody under the certain. Come back, children. We're going to talk about things you care about now, too.
We really do have Riz.
So much skibbity, if that's a good or bad thing.
We're going to bring it back to Ohio on that one.
No, you're triggering
my
Dayton audience.
I think we got our Gen Zers.
I'm really big in Dayton. Okay. I'm making myself laugh. So yeah, the Delia's catalog for sure. I couldn't afford it. I barely could fit in it.
And it was all tapped out at like medium or large. And let's all be real honest here. The large in a Delia magazine or catalog was like the equivalent to a 9 now.
That means I had to have it because if I purchased it and I fit into it, everything would be okay. The buttons on that precious Delia's shirt dress were fighting for their lives. There was satisfaction in the fact that it fit me. But as someone who had no intention of wanting to sexualize myself, those buttons were fighting for their life.
Oh, they definitely had to be reinforced.
I mean, yeah, I think that's why I have so much dress tape in my possession now. Because after the years of struggle trying to keep my curves from curving right out of their buttons. And then teaching middle school where I'm like, under no circumstances can my shirt pop open. Like, we are not going to have a Tina Fey Mean Girls moment.
Oh, no.
I am not going to single-handedly start puberty for any child in my midst. Like, locked up.
Your own Super Bowl nip slip.
I mean, I'm not the Janice Jackson of Room 104.
That's.
Didn't I say Janet Jackson?
You said Janice, like you were putting Janis Joplin and Janet Jackson in the same halftime special. I mean, that would have been dope. That I'm looking for that mashup.
She's out here roasting me, but I'm gonna edit it out, and then her roast will get edited out too. So, Janet Jackson,
Miss Jackson, if you're nasty,
showed her titular area.
Yes, she did.
They called it a malfunction.
Yeah.
No, do we? Well, if anybody knows the truth,
it was an assist. It was an assist. Justin Timberlake totally had it.
But was she surprised? What did people what is the popular opinion on that?
I mean,
did she know? I thought they set her up and it wasn't even going to be.
Oh, she took the hit. She was the fall guy.
So they all were in on it and they acted like she tricked them.
Correct.
Really?
Yes. I mean, that's what society says.
But that's what they said. Like,
mm-hmm.
Like the poor Justin Timberlake was just a victim of this woman and her nipple ring.
That's what the vibe was. I definitely could be corrected. So whoever wants to correct me on that.
I think anybody who could correct you is dead because this was like 100 years ago.
Yikes! That's a wound. 100 years ago.
That was a joke.
I know.
Yeah. So anyway, Delia's for sure. Couldn't afford it. No one would buy it for me.
Oh, well, you guys were rocking Delia. I was like, I got this Old Navy pair of jeans that has some stretch.
They just wanted to be more.
Where else are they going to shop?
But what if we, because there's a need for it.
Right. You walk to the mall and you see a store that literally says 579 on it.
Right. There were so long that there were stores that they were like, we're not going to waste your time by having we don't even, 579 crawled so Abercrombie and Fitch could walk.
1,000%.
Like 579 didn't have these hot ass people intimidating you to keep you out of the store, but they did have it clearly labeled. If these numbers don't apply to you, please do not enter.
And then don't even be mad about it, right? Be like, you're hating from outside the club when you can't even get in.
Right. Or you're shopping with a couple of 5ers, a 7, and you're maybe a 9er, but not in a way that you trust enough to admit in front of your friends.
Yeah, you're not sitting down in those 9s, man.
Right.
Those are stand-up jeans.
Like you're a 9 on occasion.
Yes. I've recovered from stomach flu. Maybe today I'm
How about it?
But don't try to wash them and then put them in the dryer and then think you're still a 9 because they went down to a 7 real quick.
So I do think having a Lane Bryant was better than not having a Lane Bryant. To have a store that, if you're willing to admit in front of your friends that you're a little fat, they'll come in and they can't buy anything. Mm-hmm. But it didn't work that way. The power dynamic was such that you weren't going to be like, hey, Tammy, after we go to your 579, we're going to go to my 14, 16, 18. Like, you weren't going to feel good about that.
No,
that's the problem.
It wasn't a flex at all.
Right. But they were not figuring out how to make me look like a Delia's model.
No.
The body that
they sure as hell weren't. Those camis were not form-fitting. Let's just say that.
Camis, but they were not camouflage.
We did with what we could. They did the best they could.
Yeah. Remember Special K? I mean, I know it still exists, but do you remember Special K drop of jeans?
Oh my!
I do feel like I have a strong vision in my head of a girl in like a berry colored bodysuit.
Oh my God.
And like holding jeans out.
I remember it. The box was white and it had the Special K with the cereal in the red berries.
Yeah.
Then it had such a passive aggressive tape measure wrapped around it and cinched.
Yeah.
So it was very much suggestive as if you eat this, you will drop some pant sizes.
Yeah. And it goes without saying that you want to drop some pant sizes.
Oh, of course.
It's absolutely understood that you think you're
overweight. People are gross.
Yeah. It's not for you to decide if you're fat. It's for us, Special K, to decide.
Of course. Everybody can drop 5 pant size.
Right.
Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig?
All of them.
All of them. But the funny thing for me always was thinking about it at like for the early 90s with the Special K was, if you eat 2 bowls of this shit, you are going to give yourself a colonic. Like, it was so much fiber in it that it would make you feel like anything you ate is going to come out and it's not going to be a fun time. You thought you were living a healthy life.
Yeah.
But half of that life, if you were living on that diet, was in the bathroom.
Well, okay. But you do anything to be thin, right?
Of course.
But also, I think you said something important here, too, is you thought you were living a healthy life. We were under the impression, because Special K told us it was, and they are professionals and
Kellogg's
would never lie.
Oh, yeah.
That we should have a bowl of Special K for breakfast, a bowl of Special K for lunch, and then we can have a sensible dinner.
Or if you were like me and you just like milkshakes, but your mom bought you Slim Fast because you were getting subliminal messages that you might have been a chunky, thick kid with 2 C's. Let's have a milkshake with your Sensibles.
Right? Oh, God, I forgot. That no one... Can I tell you that it was like your mom had gotten you those Caltine bars
from Girls,
right?
Yes.
Into. But the idea that you were like, no, somebody has to. Who's going to tell Lauren that is not a can of pop? Like, you're not. That's
not a beverage, bitch.
Either or situation,
right? It's not a beverage. What are we talking about? It's delicious,
right? Yes, but that's the thing. There was no education behind it. Our kids know more about nutrition. My husband is learning things about nutrition along with them because it just wasn't a thing. Like, nobody was talking about the benefits of protein, why you do need sugar and brain function versus muscle growth.
Well, treating food like it is like a fuel.
It's right.
Like what it's supposed to be seen as. You eat this to feel better.
Well, I definitely grew up paying very close attention to what I ate every day and being able to list it.
I mean, hello. Yes. And I used it more as like I ate bad food as a resistance, as a fight back. Whereas as you were trying to curtail what I put in my mouth because you didn't like the way I looked or I didn't match something that you wanted me to look like. So I just ate whatever the fuck I want to fight back. It was the only control I had.
But I mean, I think that's it, right?
Right.
Your body.
Oh, you don't like that I'm eating this? This pisses you off? Oh, what you said about me being overweight or any passive aggressive comment towards my weight made me want to make you unhappy.
I think you're really onto something here, because what could possibly make somebody angrier than, wait, we've all agreed that the social norm is fat is bad.
Yes.
How dare you be impervious to my comments and be okay with it?
When that person's just projecting, well, I have to watch what I eat because of society. I'm like, oh, that's a you problem.
But no, you actually don't. You're choosing to.
Correct.
I mean, and I think that's the amount of power you remove from people when you're like, okay, like, are you going to eat that? Mm-hmm.
I really am.
And if you're internalizing it, which I think maybe you weren't at first, but you do something enough.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I look at you, little subversive, like little radicalized 10-year-old eating 2 chicken Kievs and saying, and what?
The Joan of Arc of pot stickers. Well, and you're stumbling through it all, right? Like at the end of the day, you're like, I feel like shit. Why do you feel like shit, Lauren? Oh, I don't know. You had 2 iced coffees and a Nature's Valley dust bar, and somebody bought crumble cookies at work. You had one of those. You barely drank any water. There was not a green thing that you put in your mouth in a week. And you're sitting down on a Friday. Why do I feel like a lump of shit? Oh, it's because you ate like a fucking 12-year-old on a road trip.
Well, and that's the slippery slope too. I think I fell in as an adult, was like, I can A, afford these treats now. And B, my inner child is like, remember when we were really poor? Get the name brand and get them all.
1,000%.
Right? So then you have to balance that out. But it's all, we figure it out. We remove the stigma from things, so many problems would be solved. Across the board.
1,000%.
I will say this one definitely has not gone away. The weight loss, drop jean sizes is still very much everywhere.
Yes, I would agree.
Do you see that in media now?
I feel like it's making its way. I feel like it's in a transitional period.
Well,
I think it's in our face a lot, but I also think it comes from an acceptance of what body you have, but making it healthy.
I also, as we talk about this, there's some internalized like fat phobia I have that I need to work through.
Mhm.
I actively don't think of other people that way because I don't want to be thought of that way, and I don't want that in my head.
Yes.
Because I'm going to turn that gun right around on myself.
Yeah.
And it's worked. Like I am in my daily life, like very much, I don't clock things. I am not that scene from Mean Girls where she's like scanning the girl, got a serious snaggletooth and her.
Oh, and feel like the Terminator, like, yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So I've really cut that out of my psyche, which I feel very proud of.
But society hasn't.
Society hasn't. Correct. And it's like almost so I thought. Now I'm at a place where I've pulled back a bunch of layers and I'm still noticing where I'm clocking it. If I see a girl on Love is Blind.
Yep, I've seen a couple of those episodes.
And she's a little bit thick and wearing something that doesn't help the situation.
You're sitting on the couch watching all of this happen. So in your head, you see a thick girl walk into that room and you're like, I hope that doesn't work against her.
I'm waiting for it to work against her. And a lot of times these men don't disappoint and it works against them.
And that's the sad part.
But also, yes, I think you're onto something that I did not think about. When I'm watching that, I am watching through the male gaze because it's a hetero dating show.
Exactly.
I have figured out that the whole point of this is to hook up. So I'm looking at it through that lens. Like I'm judging them.
Does it create a voyeur in you or does it make you worried?
I think it.
Or does it make you anxious, like it's a triggered response?
No, I don't think. I think it's just something my brain does now.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just a matter of like.
Well, are we looking forward to the conflict, right? Like okay, so if I see a show, I'm sitting on the couch, Love is Blind, Netflix is on, cool. I'm by myself and I see a good-looking, thicker woman walk into the room and I see a good-looking, muscular, fits all the stereotypes, 6 foot, clean smile, everything's great. I immediately think to myself, when they see each other, is he going to be disappointed? Is there going to be conflict? Am I going to want to see that conflict? Or is it going to be a happy ending where he sees her and he sees her for who he got to know instead of she doesn't fit my type, right? Like, is there going to be a happy ending or is there going to be conflict?
Okay. So all of that, you gave me a lot.
Let's unpack it.
So the point I was trying to make is I think that the place where the whole idea of what I look like cuts me the deepest is how I'll be viewed by straight men.
Yes.
Because the comfort level I feel like in my own skin inherently changes when there is a straight man in the room. Without me even wanting to or meaning to. And like
it's a conditioned response.
Well, right.
Very Pavlovian.
And less so if I like know them,
mm-hmm.
But if I don't, yeah, it changes the whole vibe.
Oh, same.
And so I think that's the piece that I'm realizing now from my visceral reaction that you could see this girl's back rolls because of her bikini. And I think part of the problem too was I'm such a fixer that I was like, but no, you actually really have a gorgeous body. Why didn't you think a little harder
to cover that?
To accentuate what should be accentuated.
When she looked at herself in the mirror, she's like, yes.
Did she watch it back and look and say, fuck, why did not anybody tell me what I had going on back there? Or
did she watch it and she knew all along and was like, yeah, this is my body?
Dude, I'm learning a lot about that. Just even within the last year.
Yeah.
That there's so many women out there that really don't fucking care.
Right. That it's possible.
Right. That it's just me. My anxiety is a lying ass hoe and she needs to shut the fuck up.
Right. Absolutely. I remember DJ Tanner thinking she was fat on Full House.
Nightmares from across the land of teenage girls going to a pool party.
So she spent about a week having anorexia. It was treated like an episode of Intervention. But it was only, I think, 3 to 4 days. But she passed out on the Stairmaster.
She did. I remember that.
In her in her let's get physical little outfit. And I just remember she hated herself so much because of her chipmunk cheeks and Kimmy Gibbler's skinny body.
Nobody explained to her genetics.
Nobody explained to her your worth is not tied to how you look in a bathing suit. And then she was just fine. They talked about it, and that was all it took, and she felt better. And Donna Jo was off to the splish splash
and had a great time.
So, I assumed that body image stuff was something you could just talk out in an afternoon. Be fine. And I was just, I guess, waiting for someone to have that conversation.
Oh, deep cuts.
Danny Tanner never showed up, you guys.
No, there was no Danny Tanner talk on the corner of the bed in the brightly colored.
Oh God, that room. Let's do primary colors and sort of science.
Do we have a sprinkle of geometry?
If this room was LaCroix, the flavor would be science. Did you get that impression? Yes.
I just thought of Weird Science when Kelly the Brock walked through in her little frickin' barely there sports bra made from men's underwear, and I was just like, the wallpaper in that room, the comforters, the whole thing looked like science and fashion had a love child.
I feel like anyone who was attracted to women when they watched that movie are like, there was wallpaper. And anyone who was not as interested is like, oh, that wallpaper.
Kelly the Brock, man, she ate and left no crumbs.
Stop. Don't they make her from scratch?
Yes.
So that's their perfect woman.
100%.
So these dipshits,
and her name was Lisa, by the way,
have created Lisa. They're in the image of what a perfect woman should be.
And these are two nerds, by the way.
Nerds.
They were not a society's perception of what cute, popular teenage boys were.
We should have realized when we saw Weird Science and these nerds were like, yes, this is what I deserve. No wonder Kevin James gets to pick his co-star and punch all the way up
the freaking ceiling, bro.
And everybody's just like, yeah, obviously.
I mean, she's lucky.
A very important question.
We love important questions.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Lauren, who wears short shorts?
We wear short shorts. Oh, Lord.
If you dare wear short shorts, do you have any advice?
Oh, my God.
What should you get?
I should get Nair.
For short shorts?
Literally burn the hair off of my body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, literally.
Okay, so obviously we're talking about the short shorts ads from Nair. Did you have any problems with those? Maybe not then, but now looking back on it.
I mean, there's so many. To pick one. I feel like if you had any hair on your lower half of your body, you were just considered wrong. Anything under your nose at that point.
Your sister informed me, and I wish I could say not rightfully so, but it wasn't necessary. It wasn't kind, but it was certainly true that I had a mustache. You have a mustache.
Yes.
Now, in my 40s, when she's popping out, I just name her Frida. I give her a little pet. Move on with
her day.
But it is a little kid, not so much. And it was devastating. A normal human thing. And I'm devastated by you pointing it out. And obviously, 32 years later, I still think about it.
I don't know if it was, the fact that I had Polish descent. I'm not trying to flex. This is not a flex. Apparently, my body didn't know how to grow a lot of hair. And I will say that was the one thing of my childhood that I was thankful for.
Yeah, our grandma claimed to have never had hair on her legs. And we believed her. As her cousin, so I don't share 100% of her DNA. I also have, I am half of European Jew descent, and Romanians, I mean, you can see our hair. It's not blonde hair.
There's not a concept of a hair. It's a full hair.
It's a pelt, as it were. Yeah. And so my swarthy, dark-eyed, dark-haired self in amongst the hairless princess over here.
But it could be considered exotic.
But it wasn't. It wasn't. And
fair. I know it wasn't.
So that's it. Yeah, fair is right.
Yeah.
Fair is where we want it to be. And so, yeah, I think the hairless thing, I mean, I remember shaving my legs without anybody's permission when I was like 10, because I'm like, absolutely not. And I had friends whose moms wouldn't let them shave their legs, and they would cry about it. Or then they finally were allowed to shave their legs, but only to the knee, which as an adult, when I was in the dating world, have used that tactic, and it does work.
Oh, I'd still do that.
But it's my choice. I also want to point out, too, I know now these days thick thighs save lives. In the 90s, Calvin Klein told me that my thick thighs were a problem. I wanted to wear short shorts.
Yes. Oh my God. If you didn't have a space between your thighs when your heels were together, there's a problem. Why are your hip bones not protruding?
These Nair ads were not only am I getting the messaging that I shouldn't be wearing short shorts because my thighs touch, but now you're telling me strike two, bitch, because
they're hairy too.
Yeah.
So
those swarthy gams covered in hair and cellulite, not for the world. Cover that shit.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this doesn't apply to me. Who wears short shorts? Not me. I guess.
No.
Right? And then, of course, because we always go there, who wears short shorts? But if she's wearing those short shorts, it was her fault when P&P happens. So again, going back to the messaging, so many different
contradictions,
right?
Are everywhere.
You're too young to shave your legs, but the Brooke Shields of it, like these models are our age.
Yeah, what Brooke Shields, when she was in that movie, she portrayed a child hooker. She was 12.
Right.
It's like,
so it's
what?
Like, you can say all you want. Like, you don't want to sexualize me. It is too late. I am being sexualized. Like,
it's out there, dude.
I'm not choosing it. It's choosing me.
Right. It's out there. People see it.
I'm being held to these kid standards because what kind of hussy needs to shave their legs in middle school?
Mm-hmm.
But then also the rest of the world, it's damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Yes.
You're pissing somebody off about your own body regardless. Is there anything that you have seen has reimagined this? I have a suggestion.
Let's hear it.
Okay, I can take this one.
Yes.
It's a razor, and their ads are somebody shaving their own toe, or a girl with armpit hair, but she's shaving her stash. And as much as I wish that this wasn't even a thing to need to remove hair from your body, unless it was like,
are you talking about right now?
in life.
In life?
In life, my ideal would really be, who cares if we have...
Oh, 1,000%.
But we can't go from 0 to 60. So in terms of your pendulum swing, I think the messaging there, you're doing this more as self-care than the male gaze.
You're looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, I don't like the way that looks. Right. I don't care if anybody else likes the way that looks. I want to fix it for me.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I definitely believe that. I think a lot of that is just like, there was a moment where people were dyeing their armpit hair. Or people were, like there's a different vibe about it.
Oh, like fun colors.
Yes.
That is a real thing.
Oh, 100%.
I know an actual adorable teen who did that, and I won't say her name here, but she might know I'm talking about her. And that is great. It is my hair to do with what I would like. And not only am I going to keep it, which goes against the
social norms, yeah.
I'm going to be like, I want you to see it.
Oh, I am right.
And this is why I am hopeful for the future. That is what you need to do, is not only turn it on its head, like, not only am I going to eschew the expectations, but I'm going to flick them off by being like, enjoy the purple, bitch.
Oh.
Because you're going to definitely notice it.
Right. And it's going to bother you, and I don't care.
Right.
And if you're uncomfortable, that's something you need to deal with. Oh, I got read for filth a couple days ago at work about that. The girls are in the break room. We're all, there's like 4 of us on lunch. And they're talking about their significant others, and something came up in discussion about leg hair, armpit hair, all that kind of stuff. And one of them was like, I haven't shaved my legs in like 5 months.
Same.
And I looked, I was like, whoa. And then the other one was like, yeah, no, I haven't shaved either. And these girls are in their 20s, and they all pull up their jeans and their leggings, and they've got, now it was majestic, the amount of hair that was on these girls' legs. Now, I'm not saying
Would that I could have felt it was like baby Tracy is living for these girls right now. God bless you.
Well, that's what I said. I was like, it like, and me being 44 and seeing a bunch of girls in their 20s just living in it, right? They were just loving it. And it's really cool to watch too, because even in the break room, we're talking about hairy legs. These girls were just completely resolved. They were unbothered queens, and they were just, this is happening. And it took me back to 20-year-old Lauren, be like, maybe, having hairy legs isn't a big deal.
Right.
But it's not.
But you would have, to your point about like the progress of it, you can't even, 20-year-old Lauren would look back at you and be like, but I wouldn't be sitting around a break room with 2 other hairy girls. I'd be getting read for filth
Fair.
for my 7 hairs in my armpit.
Fair. And I sat there and sat back. I was like, I'm doing too much.
You're doing too much.
I'm doing too much. And they're like, what do you mean? And I was like, I put the creams on. I put the toners on. I put the retinol on. I shave the legs. I do the things. And I always thought that I'm doing all this work to maintain something, either a perception from myself or perception from my dead mother or perception from society. And it really clicks with you. What am I doing it for?
Yeah,
I'm doing way too much.
You are doing way too much, but you're also, for the most part, dealing with people of your same generation.
Yes.
Sometimes maybe they're a younger generation, but that is unrelated.
Mm-hmm.
But so there's also, they come with that expectation, right?
Yeah.
Because when they were coming up, this is what women were doing for them. And I think to some extent, and I think is the reimagined Nair of it all, that if you're doing it for you because it makes you feel some type of way, like there are certain aspects to personal grooming that if I do, my body is sort of like, what's happening? What's going to happen to the rest of us tonight? Like, why
is she going to come out and play?
What's
happening?
You know, it's like when you take out a suitcase and your animals immediately freak out because they're like, something is amiss. But like the opposite, like my body's like, wait, what? Why? What is?
Are we going on stage? Why are we
special about today, ma'am? And I think that's okay. It comes from a crappy place that we felt like we had to, but now it's to the point where it's like, if I feel like it, good. And then that gets me in the mindset. If you're doing it for you because you know you could show up for this person any which way, but you want to get yourself feeling.
Now, I'm going to challenge that. Are we doing that as a gift to that person, or are we doing it?
No, I mean, I think that's the thing. Is it if it's for them? Well, I mean,
it's like if I want to cook for somebody, I don't cook. I hate cooking. I can work a microwave better than anybody else. But if I cook you something, that means I have feelings for you, right? Or if I make something from scratch, that means I'm willing to put in the extra effort because I enjoy you. I'm willing to shave my legs and my armpits and other stuff because I actually find you worth it to see it that way.
Well,
or
I guess the question would be this, if we're using this as the analogy.
Yes.
I also do not like to cook. Before I had kids, when there was more real estate in my brain and more patience in my heart left for inanimate objects, I liked to bake.
Mm-hmm.
I found it relaxing. I no longer find that to be relaxing. Little people always want to help. 6-year-olds aren't that good at baking, you guys. It's just not. It is a hindrance. Check on your friends who let their kids bake with them. We're not okay.
There's flour everywhere.
My point is, so now if I'm I am going to bake cookies for like some holiday cookies coming up here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna enjoy it. I'll try, but I guarantee I will not. I will feel dysregulated at least 7 times. The temperature of my body will change at least 4 times, and it will be a drastic change.
Immediate, windows open.
I did not know I could get hotter. Yes, I can. Then immediately freezing. So it's not going to be a good thing. But to your point,
Mm-hmm.
I am doing it because I love the people who will receive these cookies.
Yes.
And my children are enjoying it.
It's a love language. You're doing acts of service.
However, when it comes to something that's me grooming or whatever my body,
Mm-hmm.
that's where I think I would draw the line of like, I am not, at least not without like it being a topic of discussion. Which this is not a sex podcast, but you know, if you've had a discussion where you're like, you know what, I'd really like to see, and you're like, okay, I'll show you that. But more of a just like, if you're just doing it out of courtesy to that other person,
Well, it's all about preferences, right?
that's what I'm asking you.
Yeah.
You asked it the same, and I took a very long time to get to the question of,
Mm-hmm.
does it feel like a chore for you at the night of, or does it also get you into a certain mindset?
Mm-hmm.
Like if the underwear is sexy, but it's not uncomfortable, then I'm like, okay, this is for everybody. I'm enjoying this. It's making me feel some type of way. But I am past the age where I am going to corset myself into something. The odds that I will sausage myself into Spanx, the window for things like Spanx has gotten tiny. If I am not at a wedding, if I am not going to be photographed,
Took the words out of my mouth.
I can't.
If I'm not going to be a bridesmaid in a wedding, or if I'm not doing something where I have to be on display for an occasion, Spanx have no space in my life.
Can we just take back the power of it?
Oh, right.
Like, if you don't want it and you never wanted it, then stop doing it. If you want to feel empowered. But if you like it,
if it's your preference, do it.
But if you don't feel like it, no one can make you do it. And I think that's the difference, is we cannot continue to feel like we are a failure. If I had not shaved my legs. Also, for those of you who have never in your adult life, I apologize. I don't mean to be ableist. For those of you who can grow leg hair, so it's not everybody.
Thank you. I feel accepted and seen. We listen and we don't.
If you've never allowed that hair to grow in a time where you can take it outside for a spin, I really encourage you. The feeling of wind in your leg hair, I've never experienced this before this year because I was really, really fastidious about it. And I finally am just like, for what? When I am just on my hammock outside in my backyard and the wind is flowing through my luxurious leg lock, I feel good. I feel strong. I feel like maybe for that 1 second, the patriarchy's on my side.
I mean, yes.
Then I look down and I remember it's not. But anyway, I'm just saying, like, who knew? Thank you, Nair, for making me so screwed up that I feel so empowered now when I can feel the eastern wind blow through my tendrils.
I mean, yes. And I do not want to take that joy and that rapture away from you.
It is impossible for you to take it.
I will not take it away from you. But if you've never had a clean shaven leg, lotioned, soft, on clean sheets, the smoothness and the satinness, it's great. Can't be matched.
Listen, but I experienced that I can experience that as well. And to that point, anybody out there can. Doesn't matter your gender. Try it. Here's the perfect day. Grow those tendrils out. Take them for a spin all day. Come home. Take a nice everything shower.
Yeah.
Get into bed.
Yes, everything shower is the thing.
What a depilatory roller coaster of a day that would be, just start to finish. We've been talking about body image and the media. So we're going to bring all that together in a little game I like to call, does this media feel empowering, problematic, or both regarding women's bodies? Are you ready?
I am ready.
Let's start with a big favorite of ours. Baby Got Back by Sir Mix-a-Lot. For those playing at home, I like big butts and I cannot lie.
Other brothers can't deny. When a girl walks in with an itty bitty waist on a round thing, no face. Sorry. You get sprung.
Anyway, what is your take on this? Was it an empowering anthem for us thick ass beauties, or was it something else? Is it problematic, empowering?
I think it's empowering, to be honest, because I felt like it gave me validation on my body type. If I went to a Catholic school growing up, and it was a lot of cookie cutter girls. They were all skinny. They were all petite, and that song kind of said, oh, I've got a big butt. It's not bad. Kind of made me feel, hey, I belong to a group. It's pretty cool.
I absolutely agree, as we have the same genetics. I thought the same thing. At your freaking wedding, I'm like, I want to dedicate this emotional song that really brought us together as children, and then we danced our asses off.
Yes, we did. It was great.
I made sure it was at my wedding. Absolutely. However, now that I think about it, I'm going to say both, and here's why.
Fill me in.
We needed an anthem. When there's absolutely no representation at all, that can be devastating in and of itself. Like, they're just not talking to me at all. I'm not even part of the conversation.
I must be wrong if everyone I see doesn't look like me. And when you hear a song like that and it's mainstream and it's popular, you're like, oh, wait, maybe there isn't something wrong with my body. I actually belong.
That's what made it so fucking magical at the time
Mm-hmm.
because it didn't exist. And that speaks to any underrepresented population. We've talked to friends who are Black that are like, I can't even point to something because there wasn't anything to point to.
Correct. There wasn't an active representation of them.
Right. So I wasn't even in the mix, which what that does to a person's identity. However, now that I look back on it, there's a couple issues. It was still through the male gaze. It was about, he likes big butts. I never even thought about the fact that, like, I wouldn't let this sir get into my mix.
A lot.
Never. Not even a little. It's still, we're still being objectified. It's just like, look, they're finally objectifying me. Also, there were skinny bitches out there struggling too.
Oh, yeah.
And it was hurtful. I'm sure there were kids who were like, I'm too thin. And that just made it worse. There was a lot of wrong ways to have a female body. And that there's only wrong ways to have a female body. Right.
It's the constant validation by the male gaze, right?
Right.
It's, well, I can't even do skinny right where they want to have sex with me. You have to have this Pamela Anderson body that's running down a beach. You have to have the big boobs, the skinny waist, the big butt, the blonde hair. And it's like, who even put that into play? Who even threw that ball on the court?
Well, white men.
Right. But Kool-Aid were we drinking,
Everything we said, that's the point. Like that's all we saw. Like we had to be indoctrinated into the idea that like these are the appropriate beauty standards, which also constantly change. Like
constantly.
Like final thoughts then on Baby Got Back. We loved it when it came out. We felt empowered. We had back and we felt like we could shake it. Where are we now?
When I hear it, I still feel good about it. I still feel that empowerment. But I don't feel like it holds as much weight societal wise. A lot of people are more accepting of different body types now.
For sure.
And I don't think it's gonna hold that much weight.
It wouldn't be novel.
Right.
It would just be
Baby got back. Okay.
Yeah, we know.
My girl got it too.
J-Lo told us.
Right.
I'm going to say it's both because I think that's true. Like, I'm always going to have a soft spot for that song.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to let myself continue to have a soft spot for that song. And because sometimes I have a tendency, know better, do better, right? To want to completely cut myself off from things. And at some point, I think you have to let that kid that was so excited by it still exist. Next song.
I'm excited.
Like a virgin, touched for the very first time. What do we think?
Oh my God, that's a problem, bro.
It's completely problematic.
Completely.
Okay, say more.
I had no business listening to that song.
Well, okay, that
like, and there are a couple on that playlist that I had no business listening to in that time frame.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was the jam. The musicality was nice. But when you listen to the lyric, it's not appropriate.
Well, okay, but it wasn't for us.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, we were singing.
Well, hindsight is 20/20, right?
But we didn't know. I think we didn't understand that part of it. So I think it's only we realize now how inappropriate it was. We didn't. It's not like we knew then.
Sometimes it's a bop, and we just need to let it be a bop.
Yes.
Not to bring up Cyndi Lauper, she bop.
What do you mean not to bring up Cyndi Lauper? Always bring up Cyndi Lauper.
I love Cyndi.
Anytime you can work her into a conversation.
That song was not a problem because that empowered a lot of women.
She bop?
She bop. Because it was just about masturbation.
Oh my God. What?
You didn't know that?
What? No.
The whole premise of the song is her bopping her.
But that song was about sex too.
Mm-hmm.
So like, why is that not problematic for the age? But like a virgin was. I'm just you're the one bringing the age into it.
No, that's fair.
Right? I think we have to look deeper into the song. I don't know her intentions. I could see it being like, this brings back those butterflies I didn't have for a long time. But in that regard, I think it's empowering and I think it's a tweet.
Having sex with you completely negates all the other men I have bedded because you make me feel like I've never been touched before. And that would be more of a love letter.
Next song.
I'm excited.
Another older. The song was everywhere. Like it was in commercials and stuff.
So it's a cult classic.
She's got legs. Woo! She knows how to use them. I feel like I need to go buy a lady's razor right now. Just because of that song.
Or like the egg-shaped pantyhose holder. Like that's what popped in my head.
Eggs with 2 G's.
Yes, bitch.
So Is it like, oh, she's empowered? But think about how it got used. I don't even know that it matters what their intention even was, because it'll get used how it get used, because it ended up being about removing body hair. And it still is minimizing this woman to her legs, to a body part. She's still a set of something.
1,000%. She is presenting something. So if you're going to present it to society, it has to be perfect. And if I'm going to see your legs, the first thing I'm going to see of your legs, it better be perfect.
Right?
Yeah.
Because what does it mean to know how to use them? Like, this song was not about power lifters.
No, it's about walking, down a hallway or in a bar down the street. And, this is the vision I have in my head, is a woman walking with a pair of shorts or a short skirt and have heels and walking past a line of construction men, and they're catcalling her, and she looks over and slyly smiles and says, yeah, I know. And they're just drooling. And what power will a woman have over a man if she's got these legs? They're putty in my hands. And I just think a lot of it can be also construed as a manipulation on women's part.
Well,
I got legs. I know how to use them. So drool, baby.
this song I don't know as well. I realize I only know the chorus, so I pulled up the lyrics. To read you some of these lyrics. She holding leg, wonder how to feel them.
Ooh.
Would you get behind them if you could only find them?
Oh, man.
She's my baby, she's my baby. Yeah, it's all right. Oh, yeah. Is the chorus.
Riveting.
Listen, Death Row Records can't touch me. Okay. She's got hair down to her fanny. All our British listeners, just chill out. They mean butt. She's kind of jet set. Try undo her panties.
Oh. Okay.
Every time she's dancing, she knows what to do. Everybody wants to see if she can use it. So I'm going to say it's problematic.
Oh, I would strongly agree with you.
So
Yikes.
problematic.
That's like, that's an Epstein vibe too.
Ew, dude. Also, what? Undo her pants? Like,
Undo what
contraption?
Right? Did dudes think that women just wear freaking lacy, corseted, ribboned? Like, is it a puzzle? Like, what are we doing?
Is she wearing a 1920s bathing costume that you have to undo? Wow. Just gonna let that. I'm just gonna leave that right there.
We're gonna let that cook.
Also, and I'll try to get a picture for listeners. ZZ Top is just. There's no female gaze they're worried about. Oh, none. They look like gnomes. You're out here like trying to undo her panties.
They're like Father Time. They're the Gandalf of rock bands. Oh yeah.
So she got legs is problematic. Problematic.
Oh God,
problematic. And we were bopping along to it as kids, and now we regret it.
While we were in the pantyhose line in Walgreens looking for those eggs.
Freaking ZZ Top. They are pantyhose.
If they can undo them.
I know. All right. Now we're going to go to round 2. We're going to talk about some TV and movies. Just to remind us, the question is, was this empowering, problematic, or both? And let's get started. Let's get started with Dirty Dancing.
Oh, nobody puts baby in the corner.
Problematic, empowering, or both?
Oh, can I say both?
It's literally one of the options.
Yes. I'm going to have to say both. The father character, problematic like a motherfucker. And then you have at the end where she has this newfound confidence and love for herself. That would be empowering. I definitely think the movie encompasses both.
I do want to point out, not to attack you, but we're talking about the movie Dirty Dancing, and the first character you spoke on was the dad.
Yee.
Oof. Oof. Whoa.
Do I have daddy issues?
Everybody does.
I mean,
okay,
that's fair.
I'm going to say mostly empowering, actually.
Right?
I mean, you had Penny deal with an abortion, and that was the inciting factor that
was the innuendo. Yeah.
like that's what changed it. I think as 80s movies go, empowering. I do wonder sometimes about what the age difference between him and her were.
That's what I was just going to talk about. I was like, the problematic part was, in order to find yourself and be empowered, you have to, I'm not going to necessarily say bet down Patrick Swayze.
According to the internet, she's 17 and he's 25. So that part, maybe not great. But again, I feel
Definitely not a good look, Johnny.
But also, I think all of these things made a summer romance of it. And this stuff is like baseline. You're going to get that in almost any romantic movie from the 80s. It was her becoming empowered, coming of age, and seeing who she was outside of her mom and her family.
Yeah, her family dynamic shifted after that summer. The thing that I got was her sister was the outgoing, the pretty, the smart, the talented.
Her sister knew how to play the game, and her sister was physically built to play the game.
Correct.
Well, and also, they acted like her guy was like ideal, like what a good young man, and then it turned out
yikes.
So I think that too like spoke to me.
They can look like a pretty package on the outside, but they're really just shit. That at the end of the movie, what I liked about it was that everybody thought her sister was annoying, and she was able to stand up on her own. People were taking notice of her talent. You didn't have to be tall, pretty, skinny, all of those things. You could actually just be baby in the corner.
Oh, shit. I feel with the low bar we have established, Dirty Dancing passes the test. And I think it was empowering. Good baby. Good baby. Here's one. Clueless.
Oof. This is like
specifically
woman against woman crimes right now. You know the background to Clueless. The script and the characters were from Jane Austen.
Yeah, talk about it.
Emma. So I read the book. I, saw the film.
Summarize the book.
Okay. So pretty rich girl who loves her dad. Bored, plays with people, like, has these social games, plays it behind a compassionate heart and good intentions, and then finds this poor little ugly duckling and takes her under her wing and makes her beautiful.
The makeover of Ty.
Correct. Baby, we need to work on you. So let's make you pretty and popular so you can be friends with everybody. Get the guy. But then says, I have control over the rest of your life because you're better now because I made you better. And redirecting her actual love for someone towards somebody that was accepted in that society in that time. And she didn't love that person. And then she found out that person she actually loved happened to be her stepbrother, Mr. Knightley.
Okay.
I went in. But yeah, I think that's, that definitely is conveyed in Clueless. I mean, she even was trying to fix her teachers up. And that was a matchmaker.
She wanted to be the puppet master. She did not have a mom. And then
Fair.
That is a trauma response. Not like I'm not speaking for anybody I know, and nor am I speaking for myself as I'm like sweating. Sometimes the safest thing to do is to be able to just control everything.
Right. Because then you know what the outcome is.
And Cher Horowitz has one of my favorite lines when she talks about wanting to give a makeover. She says, it gives me a sense of control in a world of chaos.
If there's a lack of predictability, then there comes that loss of control.
The chance of being blindsided.
Right.
Up
right.
Exponentially. Which is
or having to clean up the mess after it's done.
Right. Yes, absolutely. So like how can I mitigate all these consequences by making all the decisions myself? Because I don't trust anybody else.
Right.
Right. So here's a question. As a former English teacher, I realize what I'm about to do to you, and so I apologize in advance if this is scary, but what themes about images of women are carried through in both of those? If this is a classic story reimagined,
yes,
then what themes are being reimagined? That shows just how ingrained some of this shit can be.
That's what I'm saying. This book was written in what,
1850.
So, I mean, that's
finished it March of 1850.
200 years ago. It's definitely something that little girls have been eating up since then. So it just keeps reappearing. What's the ultimate message? You, as a girl, have to befriend people, help them, but in your own image, but then understand that you can't do that, that you have to let people be their own person.
Emma is the Cher Horowitz.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes. And she learns at the end, stop projecting onto other people what you want for yourself. If you wanted love and you wanted love in a perfect way, this seemingly perfect man walks into their peer group and she immediately puts her sights on him, and it ends up being the complete wrong person for her.
So going back to the Madonna conversation, Clueless, the crux of it in terms of women and worth is, once again, society and the male gaze is what will determine your worth. And that was a through line. The interesting part is they took marriage and made it virginity. In Clueless, virginity was that brass ring.
Yeah.
Right? And having the perfect experience of losing virginity.
1,000%.
And then they did a little callback because she lost her virginity to her stepbrother.
Spoiler alert. So sorry. Whoops.
But yeah, I think that's the thing that's a struggle in media in general. Even now when I watch things, this was parody. It was satire. It was over the top version of this kind of culture.
Yes. Okay.
Right. Are they sending a shitty message, or are they just showing you shitty characters? You know what I mean? Because people do exist.
Correct. We're going to go down that rabbit hole.
We can't show characters like that. Do we show characters like that, but just make sure that the commentary isn't that this is okay? It's just that this exists. That's the thing with Clueless. Is on the one hand, their behavior is problematic.
Mm-hmm.
But does that make the movie problematic or no?
No. I feel at the end result of the movie is empowering.
But then here's a question. If you put something out there and your audience doesn't get the parody of it,
are they really your audience?
Right, but it's still out in the world. Is it still problematic? The different people of different walks of life that watched the movie Wicked that thought that Elphaba was talking about them and was them. The amount of women who in most walks of their life play an oppressor role still thought it was about them.
Yeah.
And it's not on the artist.
No, definitely.
But that's a piece of it too. What were we taking in versus what was meant?
What lesson was being learned?
Right. And that is the most insidious part of it, is that no one was even trying to explicitly give us this messaging, right? But it was still there. Even if you tell people all day actively, smoking is bad, smoking kills you, but then the coolest people on the show are the ones smoking. I remember watching Full House, and when that Gia character got introduced, I'm like, Gia is cool, man.
She didn't care. She had no fear. She was brave. Gia, when she first walked on, I was like, who's this bitch?
Right. And she was smoking in the
bathroom. My God.
So the access we had played a role too in us taking the most unhealthy message from whatever the thing was. So what did we decide about Clueless?
I'm gonna say still a problem.
Really? Why is it still a problem?
Because at the end of the day, what lesson did Cher learn?
Well, I don't know. What lesson did Cher learn?
I can still play people, and at the end, I'm still rich.
Well, she's still rich, but
I now have a man I love.
But it's not the man she wanted to love.
What were her consequences for her actions?
She had to eat crow because her friends were not her friends, and she learned to stop meddling in other people's lives.
I do agree with that.
But
I don't think the punishment fit the crime, because at the end of the day, she made those alliances again.
If someone shows growth based on a mistake, why do they also have to have consequences? Because she grew. She was becoming less of a control freak. She went with her heart instead of worrying about social status. I mean, was the book Emma problematic to you?
Good question. Yes.
Did she not learn her lesson either? Or are you really just looking for vengeance?
And the time frame Emma took place in, she was dissected out of the social group, excommunicated. Like, there was a lot of social consequences she had to face.
Did she or they were not talking to her? And if high school is supposed to be the society, which it is, it's a microcosm. I mean,
Fair.
anybody that's been to high school,
Yes.
you are living in a small town and it is hellish in there.
Yes.
Even if you love it, it's still a lot. I assume, I don't know, I didn't love it. But I think that to her, those were, and I think this just is because as someone who made a career out of hanging with teens, like, that is, to be a social pariah at school is a huge punishment. So, okay, you've had therapy, you've grown as a person. Was it easy?
Absolutely not.
Would you say that Cher, who clearly broke some deeply held biases within herself, did struggle?
Yes.
Thank you.
I would agree.
I mean, think about your upbringing.
I mean, that's fair.
right?
I didn't see it from that perspective.
So now, did I?
You actually did.
Did I
kinda
convince you?
shifted. Yeah, you did.
Oh my God! Because guys, guess what? I don't think it's problematic. I think it is empowering if you are able to get the entire message.
Yes, if the lesson was learned, I mean, she was good people afterwards. I'll leave it at that. She, if it shifted her perception.
I want everyone listening to know that you're finding out right along with me that I'm willing to ride hard for Cher Horowitz. I had no idea until she was questioned.
I mean,
that I was like, how very dare you?
I will hold the line for this bitch.
Let's talk one more. This one was pretty overtly hurtful. Fat Monica and Friends.
So problematic.
And I'm more offended now. And I realize that's because I'm more empowered now. Because I didn't see it as much of a big deal. It made me feel bad.
Well, it makes me feel super protective over the 17, 18-year-old version of myself.
Yeah.
Like, you saw that.
Right.
And that was considered, the height of pop culture during the time.
Think about how much
poor fucking thing.
Tyra in her fat suit. I mean, that was Shallow Hal. That was a huge thing for a while. Bridget Jones, Bridget Jones was hot AF. Bridget Jones, she was gorgeous.
Bridget Jones, yes.
But she's supposed to be fat. That's the whole joke.
Well, the whole underlying thing was, she's just a chunky little funny girl.
But that's the definition of fat?
Like, damn.
I could go on and on. Love Actually. I was like, this gorgeous specimen who is getting judged by Hugh Grant, who looks like a basset hound, because she has, and it's like the constant thing. Oh yeah, huge thighs, massive. Like, everybody keeps saying that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, then what kind of bog monster am I?
If she is considered undesirable because of her thighs, I must be a monster.
Yes. And to be honest, it's problematic if Monica went from this entirely changed body type, because is that healthy? But
how did she do it? She went from, that's when Monica was fat. What was the timeline for her? How did she do it? Did she run a marathon? Was it a big life-altering journey for her, or did she just become bulimic?
Right. So yeah. So do we just think that Fat Monica was problematic?
Oh, 100%.
110%.
All right, dude. Final thoughts. What have you got? Let's hear it.
Well, it's about perception. How I saw it then through 16-year-old eyes.
Oh, yeah.
And how I see it now through 44-year-old eyes.
Yeah. I think that's the perspective is everything in all of this.
Oh,
right?
Of course.
It's just being able to develop your perspective and not keep the same one. That's
gross.
Right. I've been thinking about things like this for so long. Like, that's really what I'm looking for, is like, how can I make sure I'm growing from and growing away from these things? And I want to just keep unearthing and examining, blaming animated characters for it, and then letting it go.
I mean, that sounds healthy as fuck.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.